listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott, and I just got back from a live in-person event, one of the best masterminds that I'm a part of, the Boardroom. And if anybody wants to get to experience as a guest next time, I highly encourage you, just DM me, reach out, and I can hook you up with a guest pass behind that and to go to the next one. It's super badass. It's for high-end real estate investors. And it's always a motivation. It's always a next level. When you get into groups, circles, communities, you're around high-level people that are very driven, to say the least, and that they want something bigger and better, and they're never going to settle for less. They will constantly be investing in themselves, pouring into their business, growing and scaling their business, and taking it to the next level, helping out more people for the greater good. And that always motivates me because we're literally like the smallest fish in the pond. In many seasons, it can feel like that. And I know we're doing big, amazing things. So I'm not discounting myself, but real recognizes real. And there's some real big players, some big fish in that group. When you're talking about hundreds of other people in there, there's some people doing billions of dollars worth of business, others that are doing hundreds of millions and things like that. So say the least, it is a great room to be a part of. And so that was in Dallas, Texas, and that was a lot of fun. What I can tell you is that we had the opportunity to hear from Ed Mylett, and we've seen Ed speak several times in the past, both Jen and I, and we also have been able to meet him privately one-on-one a few times as well in small group settings, like 10, 15 other high-level mastermind members in some big groups. And if you don't know Ed Mylett and his story and so forth, you guys can Google that and check it out on your own. There is a book of his, One More, and there's a lot of power behind that. Many of you might have already seen his speech. He did something different this time. He did something that was very creative and unique about, still geared towards that, but completely different, and just like shut down the place in many different ways. And what I want to kind of like spark here is a couple things. One is just acknowledging what is working right now, simply, and what is not working. Okay. And this isn't what he was talking about, but I do know for like business, EOS, we talk a lot about what's working in the business, what's not working. Focus on the things that are working, keep doing those and systemize that. And things that aren't working, how do we actually improve upon that and fix it? I think it's really eye-opening to see some of the breakthroughs that take place when you just have that acknowledgement of these different areas, right? When you are actually focusing on things that are going to improve you, then it's a good thing, right? It takes you to next levels. What I think I've struggled with for a long time is, and I think a lot of us do, if you're very brutally honest, is really stepping into a role that you know your gut's telling you one thing, you know you should be doing something else, you know you should, and thinking about just the four different pillars of health, wealth, relationships, and faith. If you're really, truly, honestly, brutally blunt with yourself, you would know if you're absolutely crushing it from scale 1 to 10 in all those categories. And you'll probably also know, are you fully aligned? And if you're not crushing it in some of these areas, are you actually aligned with your full purpose? And are you doing some big badass things? And not to beat yourself up, because I think it is very common that we beat ourselves up and we don't count all the blessings and all the things that we've accomplished and all the goodness. But there's levels to everything. And just because you get to, let's say you get your first $100,000 and then you get your first $250,000 a year, then you get your first $1 million a year. Like, it feels good, right? And then after that, you get your first $100,000 a day, right? Or you get your first 10 million a year. You get to these different levels, and then it's 50 million, 100 million. You're starting to grow in scale. You start to getting into these communities and these circles. My question is, what's actually holding you back from getting to that next level? Like, what are the actions? What actions are you actually making or breaking your dreams right now? And another way to kind of put this, instead of saying what actions are either making or breaking your dreams, another way to put this is, what are you doing to either create life or create death or killing towards your dreams? Because those are the only two things. You're either creating life, you're actually making something and it's going towards your dreams, or you're creating death and killing towards your dreams. And if it's stagnant, if it's in between, it's just steady, it's just, it's bare bones, it's not up, it's not down, then trust me when I tell you, it's the same exact thing as death. It's going in the wrong direction. You got to be growing and scaling. And so once we started actually acknowledging this, because again, if you're super brutally blunt, like I try to be, like I aim to be, you'll start acknowledging, like, I may be crushing it over here, I may be doing well over here, and you should acknowledge that. You should be like, yes, I'm the best in these areas, but other areas you could definitely use some improvement on. You could definitely start sharpening your sword a little bit more in these areas when it comes down to health, wealth, relationships, and fitness. And if you aren't scoring high in these areas, then it starts opening up kind of like a gateway of death. It starts going down the wrong path if you are acknowledging your gut, your inner instinct, God speaking to you, you have friends speaking to you, you have people in your path that you should be going down this certain road, and you keep on self-sabotaging for some reason. You're not doing what you should be doing. It made me think back to the pieces that Ed Milet has always kind of talked about when he's mentioning you are the one. You should feel morally obligated, to say the least. It only takes one person, just takes one individual to actually make the life changing decision to save somebody else's life, to make that ripple effect, to be able to just totally pivot the direction of where the death could have been coming from. And like, we all have it in us to be able to have the free will and make our own choices, right? That's the best thing about being a human. It's also the worst thing as well, because we stupidly make mistakes on a regular basis. We stupidly listen to the enemy on our one shoulder on a regular basis and believe in all the BS and tease ourselves with natural sin on a regular basis. And so when you do that, it starts bringing in these 4 Ds, which is doubt, discouragement, delusional, delay. When you start actually focusing on the BS and you're not actually moving forward with improving in some of these areas for wealth, health, relationships, and faith, then you start, when that stagnant piece comes in, when your seeds aren't being watered to and you're not sowing into this stuff, then doubt is going to come in place, as always, right? Like doubt, you start second guessing yourself, like, is this even right? Am I even doing the right thing? Like, should I even be doing this? And then discouragement, you're going to have people in your ear telling you some negative stuff, or just your surrounding. Like, you're going to start getting discouraged, thinking like, this, I can't do this. This isn't going to be right. Delusional. And you start kind of going in your head and making all these damn excuses, right? And then at the end of the day, you delay the inevitable. You keep putting it on the back burner. Well, I could do it later on. I'll get fit at a different day. I know that I can lose weight quickly. Well, over time, it starts becoming harder because you've been delaying so much. And so overall, when Ed was talking about how there was one person that, that his grandfather passed away from being an alcoholic, drowned in the basically on a side street of a gutter because he was face down and he drowned just from being drunk. And then also just a couple weeks before, when his dad got sober, from one man that just a couple weeks prior got sober and encouraged him to actually not go and take his life this one night and actually come over to this meeting, this AA meeting, and be able to get help and support. And it was just a couple of weeks before that he decided to make that decision. That one decision right there decided to have this ripple effect on his life and totally change his dad's perspective. And he just took it one day at a time and never said like he was totally sober. He never gave that authority or that, that victory, hooray part. He just said, hey, today I'm not. Today I'm not going to be drinking. I can't promise you tomorrow, but today I'm going to be great. And so as he started going down that path and just that one day at a time type of thing, that one decision at a time, it started making the ripple effect within his family, within life, and long and behold, Ed, over time. And so it's inspiring to say the least, but it's so surreal of the decisions and the free will that we have on a daily basis. It can be so self-centered and selfish, not considering other people before yourself. Like all your decisions are just you. And so it's like, yeah, eating this cookie, this is just me. It's only hurting me. I'm not hurting anybody else. That's incorrect. There's people that are watching you. You have kids that are watching you. There's always somebody watching. And at the end of the day, you have family people, and people around you that you could be leaving behind early from not treating yourself right. And so if you don't look at it in a certain perspective like that, then it can be very natural to say, it is what it is, YOLO, right? And just living for today. I think it just gave me a whole new perspective to realize, like, I am the one within my family. I am the one within my community. I am the one. Without me being here, nothing else matters in this world to me. Because that's just me. That's just like in your world, nothing else matters to you after you are gone. So it's like everything revolves around you in a certain way. Does that make sense? Just like in my world, everything revolves around me to a certain degree. So it's like just that's going through my mind. Does that like that maybe I don't want that to be taken out of context, but because when I'm gone, it's not going to matter to you. And that's okay because it's your world. Ideally it impacts you. It serves you in some way. But in your world, when you're gone, nothing else matters because you're gone, right? And so ideally, it's how you leave this world. It's how you leave the legacy that it does impact other people so much. But your surrounding circle, the 5 people you're with the most, your family, your friends, your influence, that will have some kind of ripple effect. And there's always people watching and learning and listening and soaking up your information. And so how are you actually serving other people? How are you making your daily decisions based on that? At the end of the day, you have a choice to actually show up and play full out, and at the end of the day feel very good and victorious. And that's why there's certain aspects that I love behind 75 Hard, because through 75 Hard, the workout and regimen, for 75 days, it is ongoing of these things that are uncomfortable: drinking a gallon of water, no alcohol, get a good enough sleep, read 10 pages in a educational book each and every day, 2 workouts, one outside, one inside, rain or shine, a 45-minute workout both times. You can't do it back to back. It's like, and doing it for 75 days with no alcohol, no cheat meals, being on a workout plan and so forth, and food, it doesn't just make you look better and feel better, but it also, like, at the end of the night, you're like, check. Like, I put in work today. I worked my butt off today. I did very well today. And so it's, that you're giving it your all. And so the problem with 75 Hard is at the very end of 75 Hard is like everybody goes back to, you give yourself the excuse, you just checked off a box, cool, completed. Now after that, I go back to eating like a pig again. Or because I work so hard there, now I can celebrate and eat a bunch of pizza and all these other things, at donuts. And so the problem with all of that is that it's not breaking off and changing the mindset and the mind frame behind these daily routines and habits. 75 Hard isn't something that can be sustained forever. It's really not meant for that. But focusing on actually position yourself so you're not acting a fool at the end and changing the mindset, I think is very important. Because again, somebody's always watching you. Somebody's always focused whether you see it, acknowledge it or not, there's always somebody watching, whether you have kids or not. And so you should always be a role model to other people, and you should always be leaving this earth, better than you arrived in it. And so I just want to challenge everybody today. If you feel like something's been calling you in your heart, in your gut, like you've been having God speak to you and say, and giving you these fresh downloads in your mind, and you're like, hey, there's these things that I know I can be better. The choices, however, that I've been making have been opposite to that. With the four main pillars, right? When it comes down to health, wealth, relationships, and faith. When it comes down to health, again, people are always watching you. People are nobody ever raises their hand and say like, hey, I want to die early. I'm good going 20, years before I'm really set to go. Nobody ever says that. It always comes down to, you wish that you could live longer, right? Like most deathbed regrets, at the end of the day, there's surveys out there of people saying that they simply just wish that they had more time with people, with their friends, their family. They wish that they had more time to spend with them. They wish that they would have opened up more. They would have been more transparent. They would have been more themselves. They would have spoken up in certain circumstances. They wouldn't have thought about the concerns and fear or lashback of other people. They would have just been their like authentic, brutally honest, blunt self of what was on their heart. And that would have made change. They wish they would have lived a life on their own terms. There's people out there that are living, doing some kind of sport, doing some kind of business, or doing some kind of, working their butt off for some kind of thing or accomplishment because their dad or their brother or their friends or their family always dreamed of that for themselves, and they didn't live out their dreams for one reason or another. So now they put that pressure on this child at a young age, and then the kid grows up doing exactly that, not for themselves, but for somebody else. People also wish on their deathbeds that they would have let themselves be more happy, actually celebrate life more, enjoy life, be able to travel more, to be able to experience things more, and to be able to enjoy it instead of being in like a stinking thinking negative energy mindset, just wrong vibrations, right? Like just holding on to all this hate and doubt and fear and all, like hanging around with that toxic information for too long. And then everybody else will also say that on their deathbeds, they'll say that, hey, I just wish I would have worked less. I wish I would have prioritized things a little bit differently. I wish I wouldn't have been giving all this extra time, energy, and efforts to work. There's a crazy exercise, and I don't want to butcher this, but there's a crazy exercise where if you look at the average amount of, for a man or a woman, the average age of death in America, or even get so detailed with your ethnicity and your location of wherever you live. Find out the average age, and then afterwards look at some of your family members. How old were they living to? And then afterwards, minus how many years you've already lived, right? How old you are today. And then after that, break it down to how many days is that? How many days do you have left on this earth on average? And then you'll be kind of shocked. You'll be like, wow, that is 100% not as much as I thought. That is a heck of a lot less than I thought. And at first it's scary, but it's also, there's a motivating factor of, hey, I need to not waste the time on this earth. I need to figure out, how do I make a bigger impact? How do I leave this earth better than I found it? How can I actually make my decisions, my daily decisions, more aligned with what my gut's telling me, with what my heart's telling me, with what God has been trying to get to me for so damn long, and I've been choosing the opposite, but I know there's something bigger and better out there for me. When you start focusing on these things, then you start realizing like time is of the essence. We're not promised tomorrow. Okay. The average, lifespan, that's the average. We're not promised tomorrow. It could be a heck of a lot less. Okay. It's more rare for it to be longer. Okay. So focusing on your health and improving that each and every day, what you're eating. It was a big moment when I started doing these test scans, and we just did another one this past week in Dallas at Peak. And it was so eye-opening to see there's certain things that I'm doing right now, all from food-based stuff, I believe, that's just incorrect. It's out of alignment. And if I continue down this path, it could be devastating for my family, for the simple fact that I could be chiseling years off of my life from habits that aren't serving me. And it's selfish if I keep going down this path. If I keep doing what I've been doing, it's selfish in this area of my life. When it comes down to wealth, there's people out there that will disagree with me on this. But if you're broke, then I just feel like you don't have authority in this area regardless. Okay. And I know that comes off hard or harsh in general, but I think when you have the ability to put food on your table and put a roof over your head, and then you have an overflow, an abundance in your wealth and the impact that you're making, then because it's not just about, your work, but it's how many other people are you supplying business to and relationships? How much of an impact, how much more food and tables are you actually supporting? And then after that, like, what does that ripple effect look like? Because our cups are overflowing, we're able to donate, we're able to give back, we're able to support other people that aren't blessed with those skills yet. It's not a breastfeeding technique of like, we should be doing this forever. Some people are always going to be in that case. I feel like a lot of society has been basically just breastfed, these lies and these things, like they have to be basically taken care of their whole life, when there's plenty of areas where you can still give back to society and you can still be self-sufficient and support yourself and so forth. And so when you actually focus on wealth, you should feel morally obligated to not just put food on your table and get houses and take territory and invest in yourself and keep growing and scaling for your family and generational wealth behind it. We should also do it for others that aren't as blessed. And if we all have that mindset, that mentality, then people with wealth also have authority and they have respect. And so now, like somebody that has an amazing mission, an amazing heart, an amazing that could really change the world. If they're absolutely broke, busted, disgusted type of thing, then all that supernatural power that they have within them, it will be looked over each and every day because they don't have the respect from anybody else. The poor person walking down the street with their hand out is going to say, "Oh, dude, you have your hand out too, just like me." You're not giving, like, what's the impact here? To be able to there is truth behind money, power, and respect type of thing. And so it's crazy behind it, but we should all be driven towards taking down more wealth as well, so that we can get the money and out of the hands of the wicked and actually be able to start transforming our own lives, get our own families set up, start breaking off generational curses, getting generational wealth, and then start positioning to be able to help out others that ideally will be able to change their life over time, or there's some that just will never be able to. And we have to live with that and be able to see however we can help the people that both of those categories. Somebody that's never going to be able to, we should be able to have things in place to be able to help them. Other people that have been fit in that category, I believe there's a lot of people, probably a majority of people that could still be able to give back and do something and be able to support themselves in some way if they're trained and equipped with that information. Relationships, I think, are very big. Nobody wants to make it to the top, right? Make it to the top and then look around and nobody's around you. Lonely at the top, they say. It's only lonely if you're doing it by your damn self. It can be an incredible accomplishment if you're doing it with friends, family, and at the end of the day, I'd rather do business with friends. I'd rather do business with family. I'd rather do business and hit success and get, cheerlead along with people that are doing incredible things that I respect and I support. Like, you want to do life with people that are doing big, amazing things. But understand this, if you are in a circle of average people, or you're the best in your circle, you should look around and figure out, how do I get into the next circle? How do I start surrounding myself with high level people that actually care to do bigger and better things? You don't want to stay in a circle that is going to drag you down, or you're not getting motivated and inspired by. It's pretty eye-opening to see when you are looking to grow and scale, the circles that you'll start to get around and the ones that you're going to have to leave behind. It's just part of the process. And they should either get motivated around you to get up to the next level as well, or be okay with, finding yourself in other groups that are inspiring you to take to the next level. Again, there's stories that I can tell you behind that, but I think it lands enough by realizing that people are always watching, and your circle is very, very important. How you're making your decisions and how you are actually focusing on something bigger and better. You want to be the almost the weakest within your group, the 5 people that you're spending the most time with, so that you can get dragged up to the next level. And then faith, at the end of the day, you don't, like, how sad would it be if you didn't actually get to spend time and be able to figure out the relationship with your maker? It's one of the saddest things, because there are some people out there that make it extremely successful. I don't know how the hell they do it, because I feel like everything that I've had comes from just like having that higher power relationship. But what I would say is, how sad would it be if there's something even bigger, another level, but you just simply never got to have that relationship or know the creator of the universe, like the person that actually, the individual that made everything, that aligned everything for you. I think there's power behind that once you actually start figuring out and spending that quality time and building that relationship. There's just extreme power behind it. And so when you pass, you don't want to find that person then, because it could be devastating in so many ways. So a couple things to actually make this right, to actually put yourself on the best path, right? First off, you just got to acknowledge, that the decisions that you are making right now, what's actually working and what's not in life, within work, within business, within your W-2, within your household, within your relationships, within your fitness, within your wealth. What's working and what's not? How do we learn from the things that aren't working and actually start testing out something that could be working? You got to test, you got to try, but also following that gut feeling, that thing that's in your heart that that you've been denying or you've been pushing back. We're not guaranteed or promised tomorrow. Whatever childhood hurt or whatever you have, you got to start working through that so that you can actually get the breakthroughs and start focusing more with alignment so that we can actually take it to the next level. You don't want to be on your deathbed, whether that's next week, next year, next month, next 5 years, next 10, 20, 30 years. You don't know how long you have. When it breaks down to days, it gets pretty surreal of like, oh, I have about 5,000 days left. On average, I might have about 10,000 days left. It's pretty surreal to see, holy cow, that number of days are actually, it's getting pretty slim, it's really eye-opening. And so if you do that exercise for yourself and you get that moment of like, oh God, I just didn't realize. I didn't realize that time is so limited. It is, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. But the best thing that you can realize is that whatever actions that you're actually making right now, is it making or breaking? Is it creating life, or is it creating death and killing towards your dreams? Understand this: when you actually get alignment and you actually start focusing on the things that are going to, improve you. And I'm just as guilty of it. I'm not preaching from some pedestal here. I'm down on the same level as you are. We're all humans. We all make common mistakes and we all have sinful nature. What I would say is this: you got to acknowledge first. Once you acknowledge, then we can actually start making some change together. And this is full, transparency for a full accountability for me. I'm speaking to the mirror myself right now. But understand this, like, you are most qualified to be able to help the person that you already used to be. Okay? I'll say it again. You are most qualified to be able to help the person you already used to be. This is something that, like, whatever you've been through, we all have stories, we all have paths that we've taken, the mistakes that we've chosen, and the history and the lifestyle that we were born into. Bottom line is we have a story behind it and we have devastation behind it in many cases. However, we've overcome those and be able to create the person, the human being that we are today. That's a story that somebody else is going through right now that is years behind you, that you can actually speak life into, and you can say, hey, I've been there, I've done it, and this is how you overcome it, and this is how I've done it, and this is how you can too. And if I've done it, you can do it. And so when you give that speech and you can actually be just authentic to yourself and just be brutally honest, like, that's going to help you live with no regrets, first off, on your deathbed, but it's also going to be able to impact the people that you are designed to impact. Like, you've been through the shit that you've been through for many reasons. And it's not just to challenge yourself and to overcome yourself, but to impact others that have already been there and done it. So again, you are most qualified to be able to help the person that you already used to be. And so, I came from broke, busted, disgusted, food stamps, Section 8. I came from, a fatherless home, manic depressive mother, just chaos within the house for finances and so forth, and didn't have any good, relationship advice. I saw relationships my mom was in and out of, getting out of toxic relationships, making mistakes. And then I became a pothead and basically a drug addict from that, and still have been able to stumble into getting away from these things and be able to find more of my path. And so I can speak to the person that's already been there and done it through these things and figure out, how do you actually overcome some of these things? First off, you're going to want to visualize it. Visualize what success looks like to you. What does the perfect day look like for you? If you can visualize it, if you can see exactly what life would be like, spending time with your kids, your family, your loved ones, enjoying the day, beautiful day, whether it's on the beach, whether it's mountain biking, hiking, if it's in a grass meadow, like wherever it is, you're just enjoying your day. You got to visualize what success looks like. Nobody's ever on their deathbed saying, I wish I just had more money. I wish I just had another cheeseburger. Like, I wish I just had, I wish I could have just done all these things. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody. You'll never want or need any of the external things. I wish I just had another car. Wish I just had one more house, another mansion, another jet. Nobody's ever saying that. And all those things are great. They're all fine, dandy. There's nothing wrong with them. However, it's not the material things. It's not the external things that you're going to desire and want at the end of your life. And so when you can visualize what that perfect day looks like and the impact that you're making within that perfect day, I think visualizing it can be very, very impactful. Second, I would say, is vocalizing it. When you're vocalizing something, words are so friggin' powerful. It's everything. And people, even myself, have diminished this for too long. So many of us. The words that you speak over your life, it's either causing life, or it's creating life, or it's creating death. And so it's really important to realize this, because the sooner that you acknowledge this, the more that you're going to start speaking life, ideally, into your circumstances. If it's not, it's bad enough that it's in your mind in certain circumstances, but if you could start actually speaking into certain things. They did this study that they gave for 1 month straight, I believe. They gave 2 different groups of people. They broke it up evenly. 2 different groups of people. They had basically allowed to shoot, like go into a basketball court, and one group of people, they were shooting at the foul line, just did 30 days in a row, as many shots as they could throughout the day, right? 8-hour days, just shooting all day and looking to get better and better and better, right? All the guidance that they needed, kept on shooting. The other group of people, they were just stuck in a room where they were visually, mentally preparing and just visualizing them actually shooting the basket and making it at the foul line. Well, 30 days for both, right? One is not shooting at all. The other one is actually physically doing it. Now, action, there's a lot to be said there, right? And it should be a lot, action, you got to take action. But when you actually visualize this and then you start vocalizing it, and they just kept on, visualizing and speaking it out, like, we're going to shoot it, and they're just swoosh, making it, once they actually tested people and actually did it after the 30 days, they both actually got the same results. It was like 50-50, same results. And it's crazy behind that because one was actually practicing the whole time and the other one wasn't doing anything except mentally just seeing it go in, seeing it, just the whole form. That's power behind actually visualizing something and then vocalizing it and speaking it out. Next, I would say voting. When you're actually voting, it's what you are actually like committed to doing. It shows that you are like, every action that you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become, right? So the more that you're actually saying, hey, I'm going to go do this, and then you're doing it, that's the action that you're actually taking. You're voting for this person that you're looking to become. And I think there's a lot of power behind your action and taking place in it. And then last, vicinity behind it, the surrounding that you are actually putting yourself in, right? We've all heard the saying, and I've mentioned it multiple times about this, but you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, right? You're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. It is no coincidence if you are around a table of, a bunch of overweight 300-pound people, that over time, most likely, you will become that 6th one, right? Or when you're around nothing but 5 well-fit people, you're out to eat and so forth. They know your goals. You've been vocalizing it as well. Like, when dessert comes around, you're not even going to want to say yes because nobody else at the table is eating it. Nobody else is doing it. And they're not even going to give you the opportunity. They're going to be like, no, he only eats salads and like protein, nah, he doesn't need any of that because I know his goals. He doesn't do that. No, thank you, waiter. Like, you're not even going to go to those restaurants that even has those opportunities, right? And so I think it brings a lot of clarity when you start acknowledging these things and realize, like, the life that you're living right now, is it actually creating life or is it creating death towards your dreams? Because it's easy to say that you want these things, maybe once or twice. Do you say it once or twice, or you think it once or twice? Like, how cool would that be? But are you actually doing all the things that take place? Are you surrounding yourself with high-level people? Are you choosing with your actions? Are you voting with your actions each and every day and making the choices that actually align with your gut, with your heart, and what God's been telling you and trying to speak to you for a long time with? Are you actually making those choices? Or if you're brutally honest like me, you know that there's several areas of your life that you're not giving it your all. You're not pouring into it. You're taking the easy way out. Whatever the excuses are useless. You're not going to be able to take those to the bank. But trust me when I tell you, it feels really good when you get into alignment and you're like, at the end of the day, you're like, man, that was a tough day, but it feels good. Feels good. I chucked off everything. I feel aligned. I feel like I did everything that my gut was telling me to do. Even when I didn't want to do it, I didn't take the easy way out. I said, screw it, I'm doing it. Why? Because my goals originally I said I committed to. I'm down to do this. I want this. I need this. This is what I'm going for. I feel aligned. I feel centered. Like, it feels right. And it feels good at the end of the day, checking that off and like, man, I did this. When I didn't want to, when I could have pulled out all the excuses, but I knew that other people are watching me. I knew that other people are watching, and it just takes one decision, just takes one person. And hopefully I did my role today that could have that ripple effect from the choices that I made today. It just that one choice, any of them, anything that I did today of those choices that I've made, I pray that one of those choices just made a ripple effect in the right direction for someone, for something within my community, within my area, within my family, within my finances, within generational wealth, within generational transformation. If it's just one person, then my God, something amazing just took place. And so understand, if you could focus that energy, if you can actually do these things, then you're not going to live with regret. You're not going to be on your deathbed and passing away too early. You're going to have just enough time. You're going to have more than enough time if you start dialing these things in. And so I hope this is motivational for somebody today. I hope it impacts you and hits you, where it needs to land. Because when I was at this event this weekend, listening to Ed, getting inspired by other high level people around me, and then in addition, going and doing the health tests and everything and seeing certain things that popped up that I was like, wow, I just turned 35. I wasn't expecting certain things. It's like, well, that's why you invest in your health. That's why you invest in yourself. That's why you keep on doing bigger and better things, so you can get inspired, so that you can get the moments, so that you can have the opportunity to actually be aware first. Because if you don't know, you don't know. And then how are you supposed to make changes if you don't know? Half of America, more than half, probably 80-90% of the world is clueless. That's why it's your job, it's my job, it's all of us. It's our opportunity to speak up and say, hey, this is what I found today. This is my truth. This is my truth. Is it the truth? I don't know. That's for you to actually line up with and see, does it make sense for you? Does it align with you? But what I can tell you is that I didn't know that there were some certain things that if I keep living this way, the choices that I've made the last however many years, it's adding up, and there's tokens going in the wrong bucket of the death bucket that I didn't know, that I wasn't acknowledging. And the excuses that I made for that, the lazy way out of what I was doing with that, something needs to change so I can start taking out of that bucket and putting it in the life bucket, the creative bucket, the more alignment bucket, the one that I've been avoiding. And so if you are brutally honest, like a lot of my friends can be, and, they'll raise their hand alongside with me saying, hey, I've been doing the same thing, dude. I've been making the wrong choices. And I know people are looking at me. I know I am the one within my family. I know that I am this, God has a big calling over my life, and I'm not hitting those levels, or at least fast enough how I'd like to hit those levels. Of course, I'm growing, I'm scaling, but it's slow and steady, which is okay. And I got to get patience for it, because I'm a millennial. I want everything tomorrow. But at the same time, there's some kind of thing on me that feels like I'm not doing it fast enough. It's because we're not aligned. When we get aligned, and you feel like everything's just speeding up a hell of a lot quicker, because it can. Because we have all the resources, all the tools around us. We have all the vision. If you allow God to actually speak to you and get the downloads when you are aligned, it's all going to start taking place. And I'm excited for that. And you should be too. But understand that everybody's always watching you. There's always somebody watching you, whether you have kids or not. And you should be uplifting and motivating. If just one person takes action or takes change from the things that you speak or that you do, those routines, it's going to be life-changing in so many ways. And you don't even know until you see it. Maybe you never see it, but just know that everything has a ripple effect, and it just takes one. So love you guys all so much. I pray that this hits you where the good Lord splits you. No, but by all means, if this was impactful, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Greatly appreciate that. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast if you have not already. We have an event coming up, and events is where you get breakthrough. It's where you get motivation. It's where you get networking. It's where you get business growth, ideas, information. This is where, just like I just spent 2 days soaking up this information, and got motivated from it so that I can go out there and take down more territory, grow, scale, and inspire. You can do exactly the same thing. And so you'll have the opportunity this April 3rd and 4th here in sunny San Diego, California. This past weekend, it was in Dallas, and it was friggin' cold. It was a cold spell out of nowhere, and it was in the teens. It's not going to be like that out here in San Diego. So this April 3rd and 4th, get your tickets for that. Simply just DM me. We have on our website as well, so you can go to creditcounselelite.com, but otherwise just DM me. I want to be able to hook you up with some special tickets. And all you got to do is DM me on Instagram. It's Credit Counsel Elite. Otherwise, you can go to Brandon Elliott Investments and just DM me tickets. Okay, just DM me tickets, and we can chat more about it. On Facebook, it's Brandon Elliott Investor. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be next level. We have some amazing speakers that are going to blow your socks away. We're also going to be talking about credit, how you can get funding, how you can position yourself, how you can put cards in the right order, applications in general, so that you can get anywhere from 10 to 50 plus applications approved with 90% approval odds. There's power behind that. I want to show you how to get massive amounts of funding, and the networking is going to be bananas. So you're not going to want to miss that. Just DM me for tickets, and we will make sure that you guys are blessed with that. But we will see you on the next episode. Till next time, guys, God bless and peace out. See you soon.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.